Why don't we start off here? I know, let's just get this out the way. You make about 80% of your tools sold in the U.S. here in the U.S.
Correct.
So you're saying tariffs aren't a big impact on your individual business. You also produce in other countries where you sell. What about your customers? How are tariffs impacting their willingness to buy?
Tariffs are not specifically, but it's a general uncertainty. Generally, through last year, they started to get more uncertain. You remember, these are grassroots people at the garage level. They don't have a lot of cushion, in terms of their financials, but they're pretty good. They keep their families warm and safe and dry. So last year, the whole idea, the two hot wars, the Houthis, the tick for tat with China and other things, got them uncertain. And then when we rolled into this year, even though they're kind of agreeing with where the president is going in general, they're worried, almost like a Space Mountain thing. They're going left and right. They're going to go off the rails. They're worried about it. So uncertainty rose. And so what happens is they pull back from buying things they might have to finance. They want to, they'll be willing to pay for things they can get, in our case, get done in 15 weeks, pay off in 15 weeks, but 2 or 3 years, and that's about a third of our business, so that tends to compress it a little bit.
All right, one bright spot in your earnings, it was repair systems of information. Revenue grew about 4%, well over what we saw a year ago. That's where mechanics and other people, they repair cars, they repair other things. I would think that tariffs would actually be good for this segment of your business because hypothetically people would hold on to their cars longer.
It is.
And then there's hypothetically an exemption for the parts from China, which I also think would be good. I mean, but you tell me.
Two things drive. First of all, the van business, the business that was down, sells directly to the mechanics. We call on 1 million mechanics every week. So they sell to them. The repair system and information people, the group you just talked about, sell to the garage owners. Little different place. And what they were up, as you said, 25.7% OI margin, up 140 basis points. They did well. And why that's working is they're not quite as affected by the uncertainty. They're being driven, as you say, by the aging of the vehicles and the changing of the vehicles. All these new powertrains and the autonomous vehicles require different tools in those garages, lifts and aligners and computer programs to do this, so that business is going well.
All right, so that's a bright spot.
Right.
Overall, as we see a lot of economic uncertainty, what does it mean for your business more broadly? You have some different segments. You also work in aerospace and some other things. So what does this all mean as we see companies cut back on spending, possibly cut back on CapEx, and you even see companies giving 2 sets of guidance, like United's a great example. They gave 1 set of guidance if this happens, another set of guidance if this happens. That's a sign that people don't know what's going to come.
There's a couple of things about the situation right now. First of all, we operate in the critical. Snap-on, where the penalty for failure is high and the need for reliability and repeatability justifies a Snap-on level product, and you can't back away from the critical. It's kind of about repair. You can't leave the jet engine on the ground. So we are not immune to the effects you're talking about, but we're resistant to it because of the criticality. Secondly, if you talk about the tariffs in general, Snap-on makes in the United States, and we have the facilities all over here, and we make a version of everything we sell here in the U.S. So when however the tariffs works out, we're kind of advantaged because we can adjust to it. We have the facilities here, we have the workers, and we have the know-how. So we know how to make everything here. We don't have to learn it.
All right. You are a glass half full guy. Always. Always when we talk to you about the business. I want to talk to you more broadly about
That's because I'm from Snap-on.
I want to talk to you more broadly about manufacturing. We've seen a lot of weak numbers when it comes to manufacturing. How important is a real manufacturing renaissance in this country for your business? And do you think that the current policies are setting us up for that?
2 things. One is the tariffs aren't necessary to reshore manufacturing. That became obvious when
not necessary.
Not necessary. Okay. Not necessary.
Are they helpful?
They can impel it, but they're not necessary. The broad tariffs aren't necessary. The 232, the stuff that deals with countries that are trying to not play by market rules, are useful for manufacturing. But here's the thing: manufacturing, after the pandemic, everybody understood that when Xi Jinping closed the ports in Shanghai and interrupted the supply chains, it ignited the inflation. What they realized then is we couldn't depend on these long supply chains, so they were talking about bringing it back. There are 2 barriers for this. One is that you can't find workers. The big thing is you can't find workers. 482,000 manufacturing jobs are empty today. Why is that? Not enough skills. So to bring jobs back, it's not so much impelling from the tariffs. People want to do it already because they understand how important it is. They need to upskill the workers, and they need to sell manufacturing because manufacturing is the place where you can keep a family warm and safe and dry and have pride and dignity. And the final thing about it is, if you don't think you need manufacturing in this country, think about if you depend on other nations and either a natural disaster or intent by another nation, either by happenstance or intent, interrupts that supply. If it's going to take you 3 to 5 years to duplicate, as people are saying, to duplicate the manufacturing structure here in the United States, you're going to be at an advantage. So you have to have it here if you're going to be safe and dry.